A trompe-l'oeil painting is one which tricks the eye. They are paintings that delight in momentarily fooling the viewer into thinking that they are looking at a real three-dimensional object rather than a picture of one. The illusion is very short-lived, as viewers perform a rapid double-take before sharing the pleasure of the deception. The association between painting and deception is long-standing. The ancient Greeks told a story about a couple of painters. One of them, Zeuxis, boasted that he had painted a picture of a bunch of grapes that was so realistic that when he put it on the ground, the birds flew down and tried to eat them. A second painter, Parrhasius, said he could do better than that, and invited Zeuxis to come to his studio in a week's time. When Zeuxis arrived, he could see a painting at the other end of the studio covered with a curtain. He walked up to it and put out his hand to pull the curtain aside, whereupon he realised that the curtain was the painting, and he conceded that Parrhasius was the greater painter because his deception had been greater than Zeuxis' own. The two Greek painters, and many since, believed that deception and illusion lay at the heart of painting and representational art. Many artists and viewers would disagree with this idea, but the pleasure in deception that we find in trompe-l'oeil would seem to be evidence for it. It's worthwhile then looking again. Edward Collier's painting is typical of many trompe-l'oeil paintings. Although some of the objects he shows may look peculiar now, they would have been very ordinary in the 17th century. Letters, a quill, a newspaper, some combs, a stick of wax, a pair of scissors, and so on, all held in place by a set of bands that have been pinned to a board. There would have been many, many houses where things were tidied away like this. These are all objects that would have been regularly handled, and they are all kept ready to hand. The appeal of the painting is as much to the hand as it is to the eye. A similar pleasure in the traces and materials of everyday life can be found in Lucy McKenzie's trompe-l'oeil paintings. She is just as interested in the texture of the corkboard as she is in the different types of paper, torn and folded, the particular sheen of a colour photocopy. As with the Edward Collier painting, the viewer is invited to think about the textures of these scraps. The knowledge of the world we get through touch is different to that available to sight. Touch involves the body and is intimate, whereas sight separates itself off from the body, and we are happy to look at things we would not touch. At the beginning of the 18th century, the philosopher George Berkeley argued that touch is the primary sense in establishing our sense of the world. We learn the size and shape of objects by handling them, and later transfer this knowledge to sight. Our first understanding of distance, he claims, is distance from our own bodies, and this is based on touch. 100 years before Berkeley, Caravaggio painted this picture, which similarly stresses the importance of touch. The story is that after Jesus rose from the dead, he appeared to various disciples at various times. They told one another about what had happened, but one of them, Thomas, said he would not believe it until he had seen Jesus himself and had put his fingers into his wounds. Shortly after this, Jesus appeared to Thomas and invited him to put his fingers into his wounds. This is the moment that Caravaggio has depicted. Jesus has hold of Thomas's hand and guides his finger into the wound at his side. It is a slightly queasy painting, as we are led to imagine a touch that is too intimate, too close for comfort. But the reality of the risen Christ is proven to Thomas by the evidence of his own touch. Caravaggio's painting is about the centrality of touch to our sense of what is real. However, it is a painting, and so he has to show us these things, has to make them visible. So it's more truthful to say that his painting is about touch and sight working together to produce a reliable sense of external reality. And this is a thought we can take back to trompe-l'oeil. Perhaps deception is not the whole story. Perhaps sight is not the only sense evoked by these paintings. We could look at them as being about knowledge rather than trickery. The deception, when it happens, only lasts a moment, but the fascination of the paintings endures. Josephine Halverson, another contemporary artist whose practice includes trompe-l'oeil, has said something very similar. The trompe-l'oeil, and I quote, is not about illusion, deception or trickery. It's more about getting to know something, sensitizing oneself to it through proximity, through touch, through looking closely and through description. The notion of proximity is really important. Unlike a traditional still life, where the objects are kept at a distance. The objects in a trompe-l'oeil painting are brought close. They are objects with whom we share our own space. If you found this video interesting, please like and subscribe.